All right, all right. Hey, everybody. This is James at the Pockets Podcast here on Rumble. Jimmy Pockets on YouTube. I've got the honor to have a good friend of mine, Carl from the KillerCarl Podcast here on Rumble, joining me this morning so we can talk about, I don't know, something the president did just before 8 o'clock last night on a supposedly a low news day. You can't. There's no such thing as a low news day when it comes to President Trump, is there, Carl?
Absolutely not, James. Absolutely not. Pleasure to be here. Wow. Thank you so much for inviting me. Up early in the morning. Well, it's a Saturday, so for some people this might be early, but I've been up since, 6 o'clock?
Yeah, you know me. I usually do them like real early in the morning or late in the afternoon. It's one or the other. This is kind of rare being right in the middle of the day. Well, I got to try to do my content daily. I got to get in a system going. I'm still filling myself out how to get work through this process. This is my second live stream that's successful so far on the Rumble platform. Uh,
Awesome.
Without your help, I couldn't have got this far on Rumble, this platform. It's not easy for me to navigate, let's say. But once you know, you know. You know what I mean? That's a good
Yep.
thing.
You know what's great about it?
What's
It
that?
doesn't cost a dime. And
That
you know
is.
what? You know what else is great about it? You have the ability to do live reads and now create a little bit of money to do what? To put back into your podcast to make it even better. To me, right? Reinvesting in your channel is what it's all about, right? To get better equipment, to be able to bring better content, right? To your channel, and to be able to make the quality and the content better, and to do it on a platform, in my opinion, that doesn't cost you anything and you can actually make money with. It's almost a win-win, right? It might
Absolutely.
be a little bit of a learning curve, but in the end, like, that learning curve is worth it because you're doing great. I mean, come on, you sent the link to me. You pulled up. You got videos playing. You got this thing mastered. Hey, Minnesota Patriot brother, how you doing?
What's up, brother? Yeah, Carl, and my goal is to, if I ever do start making any kind of money, it's like I am in, everybody who don't know, this screen behind me is my big screen TV in my bedroom. I am sitting at a fold out card table that was given to me, sitting on a chair that was also given to me to be able to start this whole live stream process out so I can get out into the world and put my message out there. My goal is to have a dedicated small studio in my house to be able to just sit down in front of the camera and have better quality cameras in the future, better mics, and just let's talk about what's happening. Let's just keep it going. That's what it's all about.
Well, you have a better mic coming.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really,
Nah, man, I love you. I love you like a brother, dude.
so one of the main topics I wanted to talk about when I decided to go live today was about what happened just before 8 o'clock last night. Trump ended the Biden sponsored immigration program, which I think is a lot of people disagree with this, but I do not. I think it is something that is just the next progression of what needs to be done to get all these people out of our country because we're not going to be the country that the Democrats wanted us to be, and we're pushing back. And this is just another way of pushing back.
Absolutely. I talked about this last night on my live stream. What the Democrats and the globalists and the EU want is they want to silence America because what America is it's the beacon of hope and freedom around the world, right? Look at how when Trump got elected, how you started to see small uprisings in EU countries, right, to want to oust their communist leaders, right? And that's
Yep.
what they don't want. They don't want America to be a beacon of freedom. They want us to be suppressed, right? They want us to be in their little clique of slaves. That's what they are. They're nothing more than than slave masters, right? And the reality of it is our founding fathers made this very clear. To tax a man is to enslave him to his government. We were never meant to have income tax, federal tax, or anything. That's why we kicked the rear ends of the British and sent them packing back across the pond, right? Boston Tea Party is about tax, right? So if you listen to President Trump and what he's actually trying to do, right, and Howard Lutnick, think about this. They want to eliminate income tax or federal tax for anybody making $150,000 and under. How is the left? How are they going to argue against that? What is going to be the messaging? Oh, we want you to pay more taxes. I mean, they're already kind of campaigning on that. But you have AOC and Bernie Sanders out there doing their crazy college tour, right? That's the heroes of the left right now. That they think that they have the winning message, right?
Well, they're saying that they're practicing to be the president, vice president nominees to run in 2028. Isn't Bernie Sanders much older than President Trump?
Yeah, what is this, Laurel and Hardy? The presidency of Laurel and Hardy? We've got two clowns. I'm sorry, Bernie Sanders is a clown. And, you could roast Bernie Sanders. The mainstream media could put the final nail in him and AOC's coffin with just two questions. All right, Bernie. You claim to be an environmentalist, right? And you love the environment so much, and you're telling Americans that they need to do with less to protect the environment, but yet you have 4 houses. You have to heat and cool those houses during the summer and the winter. Isn't that conserving energy? Isn't that using energy wastefully? Why don't you sell your 4 houses and buy yourself one of those small houses, right? One of those tiny houses that they're trying to push on the home networks, right? Everybody's in this tiny house. They're all trying to downsize, right? For the environment. We love the environment so much. But you don't love it enough to get rid of your 4 lakefront houses, right? And AOC, you're the champion of the poor, right? You're so poor, you're complaining how that when you first got into Congress, you couldn't afford to move to D.C. because you weren't making enough money. But now you're a millionaire and you live in the most expensive complex in all of Washington, D.C., rooftop pool, bar, fancy restaurants. Explain to me how you are railing against the rich when you have become rich yourself.
Plus, in her little live streams that she does, she's got a bunch of followers, don't get me wrong. But you see in her one room, she has this ceiling to floor set of curtains in front of her patio doors because she's got a balcony.
Of course.
$2,000 for those custom-made curtains.
She
doesn't know what it takes to scrape up the money to feed your family anymore. She doesn't know what that's like. She don't have kids. She went straight out of college into bartending into politics, so she doesn't know what it's like to be the average person to try to make. And Bernie Sanders, he's talking about 4 houses. He's trying to tell you, don't buy a Tesla. Tesla's an evil. So you're going to take and not buy the best environmentally safe as far as it can be for electric vehicles, the best electric vehicle on the planet, and tell you not to buy it because of who created the company. He just created the company. You're hurting all these people at these dealerships and these private owners of these cars who just bought a car because you told them it was the right thing to do. Now you're telling them it's not. What the fuck?
Besides all the employees of Tesla, and I brought this up last night on my live stream. Think about all the employees that work for Tesla, right? So Elon Musk made them all shareholders in the company, so they all hold Tesla stock. You don't know what side of the aisle these people fall on. They're just coming in to work. They're trying to make a living, but yet the left is shorting Tesla stock. You're hurting innocent people. And they're also trying to, I call this economic terrorism, because that's what the left and the Renamobs are engaged in. Economic terrorism. All they're trying to do is force a wedge between Trump and Elon. So Elon no longer is investigating their umbrella of corruption in the government, right? To funnel money to left-wing projects and to funnel money to George Soros's organizations so that he can finance the Renomobs and the chaos in the United States, right? So the left thinks it's okay. Their hatred for MAGA, their hatred for Trump, right? Their hatred for freedom is so great that they would rather persecute innocent people on their side. By the way, most people, to be honest, that drive Teslas, they're probably left-leaning. Because when I was out with my Trump flags, before the election, we were out there waving the Trump flags, having small rallies on corners. People in Teslas would give us dirty looks, even though Elon Musk aligned himself at that point with Trump, right?
Well, you're right, because Carl, just about everybody who buys a Tesla is left-leaning, because it was all about saving climate change, saving the world. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
But so now, how do these people who own these Teslas now, how do they feel about the left? It's their own people, most of them, doing this to them.
They have, and again, I'm going to say this: it's economic terrorism committed by the left and the Renomob and the George Soroses. People on the left, I believe, are so stupid and they hate America so much, they're fine with other crazy, whacked out leftists vandalizing their Tesla. I doubt they would press charges, right? Because you've already seen a moron, right, make a video of him destroying his own Tesla. Are you that stupid? Right? This is your own thing. Your hatred is so great, right, for freedom-loving Americans that you would destroy something you spent $60,000 on or more to prove a point, right? When you could just sell it. You could just sell it, get rid of it, and be like, I'm not supporting Elon Musk in that way. No. You have to make a point, right? You have to have that viral minute to let everybody know that you're virtue signaling, that you hate America and you hate patriots so much that you're willing to basically just light money on fire, because that's all you're doing.
Plus, let's break this down a little bit too, Carl. They're supposed to be environmentalists, right? One of the most hazardous things you can burn is an electric vehicle that has those batteries in it. The stuff that spews from those batteries when they're on fire is very, very hazardous. So what happened to, let's take care of the earth? What happened to, this is all for the great God climate change. What happened to all that? That shit done went out the window. That's not even an argument they're even bringing up right now.
Because they don't care about it. They don't really care about it. What does the left care about? Let's think about this. What the left cares about, they don't care about the environment. They care about controlling you, right? Controlling you and having you be a slave that pays tax dollars that they can distribute, right, to continue to push forth their communist message and enrich themselves, right? Bernie Sanders doesn't care about the environment. AOC doesn't care about the environment. Right? If they did, they would practice what they preach. And as you see, they don't practice what they preach. They do the complete opposite. It's the old saying, do as I say, not as I do. Right? That's their philosophy. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm above you. I'm part of the elite class. Again, we have John Roberts, right? In a secret, well, it's not secret, right? But in a club of elites, right? Who's he hanging out with in this club? That Judge Boasberg, right? He's a member of this club. Akanji Jackson Brown, a member of this club, right? It's all this secret club. And I'm sorry, it's secret because what are they doing? They're getting together and they're discussing, events and decisions. John Roberts is a backstabbing weasel that should be impeached, in my opinion. You want to start impeachment on judges? Start with him first. Let's cut off the head of the snake. That's the head of the snake right there. Right? Every time there is something that makes sense and is constitutional, that piece of crap will do everything in his power to sway the court to vote against it, whether it's Kavanaugh, Amy whatever the hell her name is, I can't think of it right now. Barrett, Amy Coney Barrett, to vote against it. He'll do everything in his power to do it. And a lot of times he has enough persuasion, right, to either kick it back to a lower court, right? And that's his way of just washing his hands of it. I wash my hands of this. I'm kicking it back to the lower court, right? Or just completely sabotaging it.
Did you hear what his motivation was for all this, Carl?
No, I don't know.
So here's the story. Back when Obama was in office, he and his wife, I guess they cannot have children for whatever reason. I don't know which one is the reason why they can't.
Yeah, I heard that.
He legally adopted 2 children from, they say, in Ireland, but it was distributed through Ireland down through one of the countries in South America is where they actually picked the children up. So Obama caught wind of this because I guess Ireland does not allow out-of-country adoptions. Mm-hmm. So Obama caught wind of this and pretty much put the thumb on Thomas.
All right. Well, Obama's not in power anymore.
No, but the crime he did is still there. So
I say we use that against him now. This is the thing.
He should go to jail.
This is the thing, right? If we know this, again, Pam Bondi, a no-show. Sorry. Pam Bondi right now is on my time to get rid of her list, right?
Yeah. How do we all know this stuff? How do we all know this? We all know this, right? There's receipts out there that proves all this stuff.
It's conspiracy. It's conspiracy theory.
It's more than that, though. There's
receipts
that proves this. So how is it we all know this, but Pam Bondi's not doing something about it?
Not doing anything about anything. People that rail against me and they're like, oh, why are you being so tough on Pam Bondi? She's only been in for 7 weeks. Only been in for 7 weeks? What has she done? Name one person in the deep state that she has gone after, right? For instance, right here, John Roberts. Why aren't we blackmailing him like Obama did? You know what? I'm going to play by the same game the Democrats play by. I'm done being nice, right? Nice guys finish last. We've learned that. We've seen what they did to the J6ers. We've seen what they've done to the Christian protesters praying outside of abortion clinics. The Democrats don't play by the rules, and we cannot play by the rules, right, till we win. And we make them feel the same pain, if not more pain, than what we felt.
Absolutely. And I want to make a correction. I said Thomas a minute ago. I meant Roberts.
Roberts, yeah.
Nothing against Thomas. Sorry about
that. He's a good guy.
I apologize. Sometimes I have a brain fart. But yeah, you're exactly right. The thing is I don't know what she's holding off. And I realize if you got to put the case together before you can actually press serious charges.
The Democrats don't.
But at least they're supposed to be transparent, right? Let us know, hey, we are looking into this. If we find that this is truly the case, then this is what's going to happen, A, B, C, and D. But
James,
she don't say nothing. She don't say anything.
James, the process is the punishment, right? Didn't we learn that from the Democrats, right? The process is the punishment. It's not the end result of conviction or the crime. It's the bankrupting them. It's the dragging them through lawfare, right?
Yes.
You see, so I'm sorry to all you MAGA people out there that say, well, we're not like them. And we're not like them, and that's why we lose last, right? That's why we always lose. That's why we always get screwed, because we're not like them, right? So let's be like them for a little bit, right? Let's do what they do. And I know people like to say justice. No. I don't want justice. I'm not above saying that I want pure revenge and pain, right? That's what I want. That's what I expect, right? When I went out there, and I went to all the rallies, and I donated money, and I took my time to knock on doors, register voters, and I spent my day at the polling place being a poll worker, right? I didn't do that because I want everything just to go back to normal. No, I want revenge, right? My time is worth revenge, right? I want them to suffer, right? And it might not be very godly like, it might not be very nice, but you know what? I'm done being nice, right? Right? Look at what they did to us for 4 years. Look at how they deplatformed people. Look at how they destroyed people's lives. They put them into bankruptcy. Right? Where do the J6ers go to get their life back? Right? Where do they go to get the time back with their families that they lost for 4 years? Right? Do you see where the anger comes from? Because they're not getting that back. Where do they go for retribution? They're not going to get retribution. They were given a pardon. Essentially, they're still guilty. Right? So if you're not angry, you should be. Right? Those people have lost their lives. There's no going back from that. Where does Kyle Rittenhouse go to get his life back? Right? You might have said, well, he won the case. Right? He won. He's out. He'll never have a normal life. He'll have to watch his back wherever he goes. Right? Because of the dirty, filthy mainstream media and the Democrat Party drug his name through the mud.
Right. He couldn't even go to the college he wanted to go to after that because they would not accept his enrollment because of who he was. So, yeah, he's not going to have a normal life no matter what. No matter how much money he won, he's still, when he's recognized, he's treated as such.
All for what? Why did Democrats do this, right? You know why they do it? So that Republicans will act exactly like Pam Bondi's acting now. So that Republicans will cower and be afraid to retaliate, right? That's the purpose in this. It's to weaken you, demoralize you, make you cower in the presence of the government. It's not supposed to be that way. The people aren't supposed to fear their government. The government is supposed to fear the people. That's just the way it's supposed to be. But we've got things flip-flopped right now, and we need to flip them around, or shit's never going to change here in America. Sorry. We got 4 years of Donald Trump. That's great, right? But in 4 years, look at what Joe Biden did, right? Look at how quick he sent us down a sinking ship, right? Now Donald Trump is left with a mess on his hands, right? We've got Israel, right, launching bombs into Lebanon right now. We've got Zelensky and Kiev violating the 30-day ceasefire by bombing a natural gas pipeline in Moscow. The day after this peace agreement was done, you've got Zelensky demanding territory back.
This is what he does. He says one thing, and then by the time he gets to the actual action of it, he's changed his mind. He is the wild card in this deal. Putin is not the crazy one.
No.
Zelensky's the crazy one.
And again, these same people that call Putin a dictator and evil, they have no problem doing business with China. They have no problem with China making our cheap goods and shipping them over here. Wait, what do you think? Xpeng is an angel? You think the president of China? You don't think he persecutes and creates slave camps in China? We know he does. But the same people, the Lindsey Grahams, the Chuck Schumers, the Bernie Sanders, all these people, the Liz Warrens that are demonizing Russia, have no problem with us doing business with China, with us having a relationship with China. By the way, China is still recognized as a developing nation. Tell me how that's possible, right? They've got an army equivalent to ours, if not in some ways stronger, but they're still a developing nation. So they don't have to live or abide by the same international rules of commerce that other countries have to.
This is why part of that Paris Accord, this is why we needed to get out of it, because they made China still a developing country, and they did not have to abide by those environmentalist strong
regulations. Regulations.
Right. So they didn't have to abide by that because they still considered a developing nation. But you know who don't have an immigration problem, Carl?
China.
don't have Russia
No.
doesn't have an immigration problem. I mean, so they may be ran by dictators, but
El Salvador. They don't
their
have an
country goes
immigration
strong.
problem.
It takes
Venezuela.
right. It takes a strong will to keep this. Everybody has a heart. America has the biggest heart of everybody. I don't care what they say, but there's a time when you have to take care of yourself first. What the left has done to us, not just in the last 4 years, but in the last 40 years, what they've done to us is unexcusable. It is unexcusable, and we got it. It's time to sit on the sidelines and just vote your conscience and say, "I did my part." That's bullshit. They poked the bear. It's time to poke back.
It's not time to poke back. It's time to put them in a bear trap, baby. Right? Because I'm done. It's just like exactly what I just said. Right? And you made this point about people vandalizing Teslas and people just sitting by and letting it happen. Right? It's time to end that. Like you said, it's time to get out there and counter protest. Right? Let our voices be heard. Don't let what happened on January 6th scare you. And that's what that was all about. January 6th was nothing more than the federal government telling you, you better stay in your lane, because if you get out of your lane, this is what we're going to do to you. Well, we're not dealing with the same DOJ, right? Do I think Pam Bondi's doing what she should be doing? Absolutely not. But if we go out and we counter protest, right? And maybe you just need a little pepper spray in your pocket, just in case you want to walk up to a libtard and just give them a little, wake them up a little. Let them know you're not. Let them know if you f around, you're going to find out, right? So you want to show up to a Tesla dealership, you want to start creating chaos. Yeah, maybe you end up with a little bear spray in your face. I don't know. Maybe you end up with why don't we do the same tactics they do, right? Why don't we put on the black masks? Why don't we walk around in all black, right? All black, and just maybe get all black with maybe like MAGA on it, right? Let the news target us. I don't care. I'm done. Let them be known that Americans, we're just not screwing around anymore. Us freedom-loving patriots that think that everything that's going on in the world isn't going to affect us, well, that's all out the window, baby, because it does affect us. And Minnesota Patriot, I am sorry that your cousin talked you into installing her carpet. That sucks, dude. It's Saturday. You should be sitting at home on your couch in your sweatpants, drinking some coffee.
Yeah, and Carl, this is something that the right's not used to doing, which is protesting, because for whatever reason, it's just not part of the culture. Things have got to change. They have a list of all these anti-Elon protests that are going to be happening across the country. I've been telling everybody, use your Facebook community pages. Find other people, find other MAGA people, start having meetings, start organizing, start going to these protests, start showing them that they ain't shit. The baddest people on the planet are MAGA, and they need to know that to be the straight up facts.
Yeah.
And how do they do it? It could be with a little bear spray.
Just a little.
Just depending on the state you live in also, because like in my state, we have constitutional carry. So don't go alone, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, no, take a hole puncher with you.
Yeah.
You know?
They got to know that they've done fucked around. Now they need to find out.
And that's the thing. You brought up the point like, okay, well, hey, Rusty Nuts, how you doing, brother? Nice to see you here. You brought up the fact, why doesn't the right protest? Why aren't we good at it? You know why we're not good at it? Because we work, right? We don't spend our lives in a rent-a-mob, right? Because that's all this is. This is not organic protest. You see how this works, right? And the left, they've mastered this. George Soros has mastered it. The color revolution, our CIA that goes into other countries, we're seeing it applied in America right now, right? Just go and look at how we cause uprisings in other countries. That's what they're doing right now. This is it, right?
But Carl, the left has done a good thing here for us. They've literally put a schedule out on social media of the
Yeah.
dates and times that they're going to be protesting. So here's what I tell to those people in MAGA. You do work. Most of y'all may have vacation days available to you. Now that they've been nice enough to put a schedule out there, you know when they're going to happen. So take a vacation day.
And
You
it's
know,
on weekends, dude.
and if you organize and you end up in jail, have your MAGA brothers and sisters behind you be able to post bail for your ass. Don't let them get away with this just because you have a fear of being locked up because you've said too much and you're too loud. Fuck that.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to put your big boy pants on, baby. We're in a fight to save the heart and soul of this country. Don't think just because Donald Trump won that everything's going to be rosy and hunky dory. These people are ready to fight. They're like cornered animals, right? Like cornered rabid animals, right? We've beaten them. They're in a corner. They have nowhere else to go. So what else do they have left? Chaos, violence. We're seeing it, right? This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And a part of me hopes President Trump doesn't sit back and do the whole, it's up to the states to take care of this. It's not up to the states. We need the National Guard out there stomping some of this stuff down. We cannot let innocent small businesses burn and go up in flames again like we did, right? We cannot allow police officers and police cars to be vandalized, set on fire, and destroyed. It costs too much money, right? It's taxpayer money that's paying for all this. And by the way, I just saw a story which just to show you the power of President Trump, right? So the president of the Congo has offered Trump control of the rare earth minerals to bring peace to the region. Think about that right now.
I seen that. Yeah.
Think about, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the globalist and America, the freedom that shines from American patriots like me, James, everybody in the chat, everybody out there. There is freedom that just resonates from within inside of us. And the Democrats hate that. It's like a crucifix to them, to a vampire. The globalist cannot have America and the uprising of the American people be an example to the rest of their shitty European countries. Right?
You know, to the answer to that Congo thing, if we're going to be the world's police, we might as well start getting paid for it. That's
exactly.
kind of the whole deal of what Trump was trying to do with Ukraine. The EU loaned you money. We just gave it to you. So we'd like to have a little of that back and still make you money at the same time. But what is it? Zelensky is too afraid of his leftist masters that he will even agree to that. He's a moron. He don't care about his people.
Well, obviously not.
Son of a bitch. He needs to go back to comedy because he ain't nothing but a joke.
Well, and he ain't that funny either. So either way, he sucks.
I've watched his comedy.
Yeah, he sucks. Hey, Dave, how you doing today? Happy Saturday, brother. Glad to see you in the live chat, man.
That's Rusty.
Oh, is it Dave Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
He switched over from YouTube to Rumble.
All right. I don't blame you, Rusty.
Yeah, that way he can say what he wants to
say. They'll flag you if you say something in the live chat on YouTube.
Yeah, it's part of my live stream. If it's deemed offensive, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But they're saying it, making these people who are setting these Teslas on fire at these dealerships, that it's a stretch to call them domestic terrorists. But the definition of domestic terrorism is to do it for intimidation and for like political reasons. Every time somebody sets a Tesla on fire, that's for political purposes. That's not because they hate the car. It's they hate the man that created the car. That's because he's in the political realm right now. If a guy digs his ass and pulls out a wad of shit and smears it on a Tesla.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's domestic terrorism. Why? Because he did it for political reasons. If you key a car, You did it for, it's the reason why you did it. That's why it's domestic terrorism. So all these individuals need to be charged with that very, very same charge. All of them, whether you scratch a car, smear some shit on a car, blow a fucking car up, put a bullet through a hole through one of them, they're all domestic terrorists. They all need 20 years. They all need to go to El Salvador and enjoy the luxurious life of a Salvadorian prisoner.
It's not that luxurious. I can assure you,
I know.
it's a fucking hellhole.
It should be.
The thing is they need to get the same treatment that the J6ers got, right?
Worse.
Maximum prison sentence, thrown in solitary confinement, not allowed to talk to their lawyer, not allowed to talk to their family, right? This is all what happened, right? We forget this. Unfortunately, we forget what happened. And it's like I said on my live stream last night, we live in such a news cycle that moves so damn fast, right? It moves so fast that they count on us forgetting about corruption if it was exposed, because we're 10 stories deep now next week, right? So this week, it's Trump with the judge and turning back the planes and not deporting people. Next week, it'll be a judge stopping the closure of the Department of Education. Just watch. That's coming too.
They're already doing lawsuits. The teachers union is filing a lawsuit against this. What they don't understand is, and I don't have the list of programs in front of me, but like the talk about the Mills program and the disabilities programs for mental retardation and physical needs and all that.
It's all been moved.
They've just been moved to other departments. It's still happening. But if you listen to somebody on the news, all this shit is cut.
Yeah, it's not cut. It's all been.
People are going to starve. People are going to die. Yeah. I hate when they say that. Every time something happens, it's people going to die. There have not one person died for any of these decisions.
Absolutely not. If anything, their lives will be made better and the programs will be more efficient. So you'll get more out of them because they're being ran by competent people instead of a bunch of left-wing wackos that are looking for ways to just embezzle the money and turn it into, like I said, umbrella operations like George Soros's NGOs, right? Masquerading as a NGO that's there to help innocent children. Meanwhile, what are they doing? They're funding these protests for Tesla. They're funding the resistance. They're funding lawsuits, right? Lawsuits to attack President Trump on every executive order he makes. That's why they're so upset. That's why they're upset that Trump wants to rid this country of these gang members, because those gang members are part of their chaos machine. They want them here, right?
They were purposely sent here through a deal with Biden, with President Maduro, that it was Biden's idea to President Maduro, let these people out of your prisons. We'll use our field office down there in Colombia with the FBI and the CIA to help to get them transported up to the southern border, and then Biden would lift sanctions off of Venezuela. This was done by our own government, not by Maduro. Yep. Maduro said this wasn't his idea. He was pressured by Biden because he would lift sanctions off his country. So this was an intentional invasion from our own government.
And they're dragging the corpse out now to start campaigning for the Democrats. Right? Oh, that's a winning strategy. Yeah. Right? You're going to bring the worst president out with the lowest approval ratings. What's he going to say? I screwed your country up. Vote for these people? Because they'll screw it up even worse.
Hey, Carl, I got a green dot by this campaigns. What should I do?
What happened?
The campaigns in the chat, the green dot popped up.
Oh, click on it.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, click on it.
All right.
Do you see where the things you can do a live read? Click on which one you want.
Let's see here. Well, it says no campaigns available.
There's a little circle thing. Hit it. You see the little refresh button?
Oh, I got you. All right. Nope.
Nothing?
Visit Rumble Advertising Center later for the campaigns. So apparently the light come on, but I'm still not eligible.
You might have to set it up. You might have
Sure.
to. Do you have a PayPal account?
I do.
You'll have to link your PayPal account. I forgot about that to Rumble.
Sorry about everybody in chat. I'm brand new on the Rumble platform as far as I am using Rumble right now to do this live stream. It's brand new to me. Carl's helping me get through it. So if it seems like I'm a bumbling idiot more than normal, this is why. So just the FYI to everybody.
Yeah. So after we're done, just go into Rumble settings. You got to do it through the website. So go to Rumble, and then just go and fill out the financial information. Just the basic stuff. Social security number. You might have to get verified, and then just link your PayPal email to Rumble. That way you can cash out and you're verified. I forgot about that. That was my fault. I should have told you that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll deal with that, after we're done here. Hey, did you see where you've heard of this USIP? This US for International Peace. It's supposed to be like another version of the USAID.
No.
It's another program that they found as Doge is going through this whole deal. It's basically what this department is, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars in the slush fund for this program. It's basically to influence coups across the world for the CIA. So this is the bank. Basically, they found the bank, one of the banks that the CIA uses to help finance these small coups across the globe. So now it's being found. You're not hearing much about it because the left don't know how to argue against this one too much. But they will, because listen to the title, U.S. for International Peace. It sounds so warm and needed.
And that's what they do. It's just like I was talking about USAID, right? They use these terms like, this is for studying transgender relationships with a dog, right? And the reason they use those things, the money's not going to that. I can assure you that, right?
No,
the reason they use that is because if a Republican goes, hey, what is this? They'll go, what are you, transphobe? What are you trying to hurt trans people in Mongolia? Right? And they'll shut you down that way so you don't look into it, right? That's the way these leftists think. That's why, and I was talking to my wife about this today. We were talking about how the media is and how they try to, hey, Easy Pass, how you doing? How they try to create a psyop, right? And they make you feel like if you're not down with the transgenders, that you're the minority, you're the outcast, you're the odd one, right? So the media will blow it up, make it seem like there's more support for it than what it is, because it's like I always say, everybody wants to sit at the cool kids table, right? Everybody wants to be part of the cool kids club, right? We are a it's the pack mentality, right? We all want to be accepted. We all want to be part of a group, right? We're social creatures, right? We all want to be accepted. So the mainstream media uses that psychology, right, to create a psyop to make people feel like they've got to support something that has no organic growth to it, right? So the same thing with AOC, right? Look at what Fox News made her what she is, right? If Fox News would have never said a damn thing about AOC, you wouldn't have known who the hell she was, but Fox News kept talking about her. Oh, it's a young congresswoman beat, this old congressperson in the district in New York. Oh, she's going to be the new leader of the Democrat Party. You know who financed her? George Soros, right? George Soros and the Economic World Forum, right? They all are pushing these people. They're grooming these young socialists in America and pushing them forth, right, to infiltrate our government. Remember, it was George Soros that said he's got assets in many assets in the Canadian government. Look at what Canada has become, right? Look at how corrupt they've become. Look at how they were so quick to seize people's bank accounts during the trucker protest, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can see the way they think. You can see the way they work. Even though AOC, you hear her talk and she's as dumb as a box of rocks.
Well,
they still take her out.
You know what originally made her famous is when she said that the world was going to end in 12 years because of climate change.
Al Gore said that.
That's what got her started, you know what I mean? But Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks used to brag about him, and then the campaign manager that actually went to become her campaign manager, she auditioned for that position. They couldn't put anybody in that position. They had to audition to be able to pass what they call the being able to tell a lie with a straight face deal. So she is an actress. She was auditioned for that part, and she got the part. She is as dumb as a box of rocks on her own. Every intelligent thing she's ever said was written by somebody else.
Hey, can I ask you guys a favor? Can you give this live stream a thumbs up for James? It helps him in the algorithm. There's 17 people watching. 13 or 12 in the live chat on Rumble. There should be 12 thumbs up
Rumble.
Right now. And you people on YouTube, you should transition over to Rumble. Right? You should set up a Rumble account just in case, right? Just in case something happens to James' YouTube channel, you always will be able to find him here on Rumble, right? So if you
starting Monday, I'm going to do daily only Rumble content.
Right? So what you can do today is just set up a Rumble account, go on Rumble, search up Empty Pockets Podcast, find James, follow his channel, right? Get his numbers up. The thumbs up and following him help him in the algorithm, and it pushes his channel out there into the creator's atmosphere in Rumble, right? It attracts more views for his channel, and James needs that. Why does James need that? Because he's a good guy, and he's here to give you great content, right?
Yeah, and just in case, if you're on here, you already know who Carl is. KillerCarl's Podcast. For if there's one individual who is in here that doesn't know who that is, you'll see me usually Saturday night free-for-all with Killer Carl. He puts content out all week long. So if you're not following him, which I don't believe if you're in here, you're already not, give Killer Carl a follow too. I mean, this is what got me started, this man right here. So if you don't like my content, blame it on him.
Yeah, you can blame me. I don't care. I'm married. I'm used to being blamed for things I don't do. Right? That's what happens.
Right? Yeah. Hey, did you see? Now, Doge is continuing on, and they keep finding more and more money that needs to be put back into the taxpayers' till, whatever you want to call it. Now they're saying, because they're saying use 20% of that to give back to the taxpayer, right?
Yeah.
For all the aggravation that they've had to go through. Now they're saying it's not $5,000 anymore right now. It's now up to $9,000 per taxpayer.
Send me that check, baby. Send me that check again.
20, that's only 20% of what they've found. Think about that.
How do you
taxpayer in America can get $9,000?
And I try to wrap my head around this, right? Because, and this is what I love about President Trump. This shows you that he is one of the most forward-thinking political actors out there, right? He has put the Democrats in a position where they have to argue, right? Think about what they're arguing for.
Yeah, they're arguing common sense.
They're arguing to keep illegal illegal gang members here, the same gang members that took over apartment buildings, the same gang members that killed Lincoln Riley, the same gang members that are doing the smash and grabs in New York and California. They're arguing to keep those people here, even if we put them in prison. You realize who's paying for it, right? It's you, right? It's you and me. We're paying to house criminals, right? In the best prison system, the most fair prison system, as long as you're not a January 6er, the most fair prison system in the world, right? They're also arguing now that corruption is okay, right? That it's okay to send taxpayer money overseas to fund ridiculous programs. They're put in this position, right, to argue this. Now they're going to be put in the position to argue that the American taxpayers, they don't deserve the $9,000 back, right? They don't deserve that. They're also put in a position where they're going to have to argue against ending federal tax for people making $150,000 and under. Think about what Trump has done. He has boxed them in, right? They have a losing argument. There is no way that they can go in front of the American people. And you would think that these Democrats would step back, self-evaluate, look at their polling numbers, and go, maybe I don't want to make an argument. Maybe I can make an argument against something else. Like maybe we could go more towards the environmental realm again, right? Because you could touch people's hearts with that. Right? You could be like, well, Trump's trying to end the windmills. He's trying to just go all in on fossil fuels. I believe in fossil fuels too, but I think we need to have a little bit of alternative energy. Right? You could see somebody making a logical argument, but they can't. Right? Because again, their hatred, right, for Donald Trump and MAGA, right? It's like I said, when I wear my MAGA hat out in public, which I love to do, it's like a crucifix to a vampire to a Democrat, right? You can see their face. It morphs into like a demon, right? They see the MAGA hat and they're like, oh my God, right? It's hilarious to me, and I love doing it. And it's my childish part, right? Because I just like tormenting Democrats. It's what I live for. Right? I feel like they've tormented us for these past 4 years, right? They like to call us violent. They like to call us insurrectionists, but we weren't burning down windmills, right? And we weren't burning down factories that made solar panels, right? When they got rid of all the coal jobs and they shut down the fracking gas fields in Pennsylvania, we didn't go out and decide, well, you know what? Let's go burn down a solar factory, right? Or a company that installs solar on people's roof. We didn't do that. No, we didn't, because we're not violent. We're peaceful. We just want to be left alone. We want less government. But you know what? The time for peace, I believe, is becoming to an end, right?
Yes. And Carl, I can throw in, there's a win. We're having a light at the end of the tunnel right now, because this was something I was going to mention that's in other news. The jury has found that the far left group Greenpeace has to pay $660 million in damages that occurred upon during their protests because they damaged shit. They damaged something that was a legal thing that was happening. They was not doing something that was, against something that was illegal. So now they are finally are being held accountable for the damages that they did to the Dakota Access Pipeline. $660 million.
But James, there's no way they did anything destructive. They have peace in their name, right? They're the left. They're loving and inclusive, right? The left. That's all they are. They're not. They don't want to hurt people. They're going to save the environment. They're loving and liberal, right?
Yeah.
As long as you agree with everything they say,
like right? They do. You gotta think like they do.
As long as you're down, with a dude wearing a dress with his ding dong hanging out, you're fine. You're fine. They're fine with you, right? But if you love your country, right, and you want your First Amendment and your Second Amendment, well, then you're a domestic terrorist, James. Right? That's all you are.
Well, I say this all the time. We're the youngest country in the world. We have the oldest document. We have the oldest constitution in the world because all the other constitutions in the world have had changes over time that they're not the original anymore. We're the only ones that has the original. And why is that?
Because it
of the
works.
First Amendment and the Second Amendment. That's what keeps our Constitution original. The first and the second. That's something no other constitution in any other country has. So we have to fight to the death to keep that.
And think about how close we were to losing all that.
Another 4 years away.
Just
we were another
think.
4 years away.
And that's something I just want everybody to remember, right? I'm very passionate about the fight that we have in the future. Because I always say this, it's very easy for people to get complacent and think, oh, we got Donald Trump. Everything's great. I don't have to vote in the midterms. I don't have to stay politically active. No. Now is the time to be more politically active because there's even more to lose, right?
Yes.
Now's the time where we start needing to prepare for the midterms. That means registering voters. You got to continue to register voters. You've got to sign up to be a poll worker, right? A poll watcher. Those are very important things. People will diminish the fact of being a poll watcher or a poll worker, but you are the frontline defense against fraud in the polling station. It's you, right?
I got to do my classes this month.
Yep, but making sure that you're registered to vote, your registration is up to date is very important. Also, making sure that your friends, your relatives are all registered to vote. Making sure that they're aware of the lies that the mainstream media are telling. Making sure that they're aware of what's on the line, right? And if you lived through the past 4 years and you're living through now, you know what's on the line, right? Being politically engaged and being politically motivated are two of the most important things right now. Making sure that you're keeping your eyes on your local Congress or your local House of Representatives, your local Senate, school boards, right? All those things are important. Special elections. Making sure that you're staying engaged in the federal elections, right? Making sure that we are prepared to primary any rhino that dissents from the MAGA agenda, right? We have to make sure we're prepared to do that. And we might lose a seat. It's possible, but it's about sending the message, right? In my opinion, that we're not tolerating any bullcrap from any rhino. Dan Crenshaw, he needs to go. Lisa Murkowski, she needs to go. Right? All these people that have been thorns in our side, thorns in President Trump's side, we can't tolerate it anymore. We've got to be a force multiplier that pushes forth the Trump agenda. Trump's only one person, right? We are the force behind him. Right? We are the ones that the politicians need to be accountable to. Not themselves, not their wallets, not the special interest, not the lobbyist in D.C. We need to make it clear to them by sending emails and calling them when they dissent from what we want them to do. We need to make it clear to them, even if they're Democrats. It doesn't matter. Right? We need to hold them accountable, and that's just it. Flat, hands down. Stay engaged.
Okay, well, I got to add to that. Don't rely on your GOP local office.
No.
We need to step up. I said it before, every community has a community Facebook page. Get on there, engage. Find you a leader in your neighborhood, in your town, that is going to help organize. If you're not that leader, find that leader. Organize. Be MAGA. Don't be Republican. Be MAGA. Vote in the people that you want MAGA to have in office, not what your local GOP office wants in office. You understand what I'm saying? Do not rely on the Republicans. We got to have our own movement. So organize. get together, do stuff. It's MAGA that's going to have to show up at these anti-protests. It's not Republicans, it's MAGA. So be aware of that. So be the leader in your town. Organize. Do this. Vote in the right people. Vote out the wrong people. Make protesting something that we do too, not just the left. That's all I got to say about that. Organize.
Yeah, it is. It's very important. And the one thing when I was a poll watcher over there, the one thing I noticed is the Democrats are on top of everything. They had an app that they had to report back the tallies of the votes, and an app to communicate. They would actually bring all their poll watchers and poll workers food, lunch, right? So they didn't leave. They would bring them stuff. Republicans, nothing like that, right? There was no form of communications, no real point man, no app, right? You see, this is how far behind the Republicans are when it comes to election integrity and just being engaged in the process. And the Republicans need people to step up, right? We have people that are involved in the tech industry. We have people that can develop apps. We have people that can do all these things, right? But they don't. So if you're part of a Republican think tank or a group, you need to bring these things up. You need to bring it to people's attention. Like, hey, the Democrats, when it comes to technology and communication in elections, are so much advanced over what we have. We need to catch up and go beyond, right? Because you might not think it makes a difference, but it makes a huge difference.
Carl, I brought some of these ideas to my local Republican Party office. They blew me off. I have a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to at least the local Republican Party here, because I don't fit the mold,
dude.
I don't fit that person that they would expect to get out in front of a bunch of people and have a meaningful conversation or a speech to say something. They act like I'm not one of those type of people that they want as a face of their party, basically.
Yeah. So, the problem is is that a lot of these Republican parties have the same people in them, right? And they get an ego. Like, you're not going to tell me. That's what it comes down to. It becomes a who has the bigger D contest, right? You're not going to tell me, you don't think I've already thought about. I've heard it all, dude. I've heard it all. And my reply is, well, you're losing elections. So obviously what you're doing isn't working. So maybe you need to think outside of the box. Maybe you need to change the way you do things, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's flat out what it is.
This is why I say don't rely on your local GOP. Form a MAGA organization, not a Republican organization, a MAGA organization. We need to and then start reaching out to other communities that have these things started. Hopefully this will flower into something huge, bigger than the Tea Party. The Tea Party fizzled out. This is something we cannot afford to let fizzle out. We are MAGA. We are strong. We are in numbers that they ain't never seen before. And a lot of us are just fucking pissed.
Yep. The Tea Party fizzled out because of people like Ted Cruz. Right? You had these politicians, and the Tea Party had all this hope in these politicians. They said the right things. They went on Fox News. They did the whole press gaggle, talk the right way. But when they get in office, they do nothing. They do the opposite, and they have nothing but excuses. You see, the days of excuses, and this is why I bring up Pam Bondi all the time. For me, the days of excuses are out the window, because the Democrats never have excuses why they can't do things. They just get it done. Merrick Garland, when he became AG, he went on the attack right away, arresting J6ers, launching lawsuits against President Trump. There were no, give Merrick Garland time. He's only been in for 6 weeks. No, because he went into action right away, right? And this is my problem with the Republican Party. I don't want to end up with a Bill Barr in high heels. And I feel like that's where we're going.
Merrick Garland made parents who went to school meetings domestic terrorists. Nobody got on the news
Nope.
and had an uproar about that. But yet they're trying to say that these people that are setting these Teslas on fire at these dealerships shouldn't be put under the umbrella of domestic terrorism. You can't have a better definition than why they should be called domestic terrorists than that. Not a parent who went to the school who had a problem with how their children are having men in girls' bathrooms, having sexual assaulted girls. I mean, that's what they was wanting to claim to be domestic terrorists. Nobody had a complaint with that. Merrick Garland was unfeathered at whatever he did, and just whatever Biden told him to do, he did. And then they want to say, are you willing to stand up to the president and say no? Bullshit.
Exactly. Well, look at the gentleman. I think he was in Virginia, right? I think he was out in that Loudoun County, Virginia. The guy, yeah, that daughter was raped in a bathroom by a deranged young man that faked he was a woman so he could go into the girls. He was a pervert, so that he could go into the girls' bathroom and assault them. He was drug out of a school board meeting, arrested, charged, because he was defending his daughter. He was trying to stop this from happening to other people's children, right?
And it was that Loudoun County meeting, Carl, that sparked that letter from the administration for that county for their education system or whatever you want to call it, went to Merrick Garland, and that's what sparked this whole debate on calling parents domestic terrorists.
You know, if defending my kid and not wanting my child to be raped by a man makes me a domestic terrorist, well then sign me the F up, because I'll wear that badge with honor. You know, and that's the thing. Are we going to see? I think in the Justice Department with Pam Bondi, we're going to see things change slightly. But I don't really care about the changing slightly. I want dramatic results, right? And I don't want to hear that she's a measured person, that she got to have all of her ducks in a row and blah, blah, blah. We'll be waiting forever, right? We have 4 years. We actually have 2 years, right? Yeah. Because God forbid the Democrats take the House and the Senate. It's game over. They'll impeach Trump. They'll impeach Pam Bondi. They're going to go on a warpath. It's going to be scorched earth. They're not going to hold back like all the Republican pussies do, because they're afraid of the New York Times calling them out, right? They're afraid of Brett Baer on Fox News asking them a tough question, right? They want to go on Sean Hannity, and they want to puff up their collar and talk about how they're doing this and they're having a hearing on this, and they send a strongly worded letter. Ooh, James, they sent a strongly worded letter. Pussy. Oh, that's going to get results.
Yeah, everything that they claim that Trump would do is kind of like what they will do.
Yeah.
They make all these hypotheticals that never come to fruition, but yet everything that they claim that they are worried about, that's exactly what they'll do when they're back in power again. You know it to be true. We all know it. We can't afford to let that happen. So if you don't get involved, if you just think, well, I voted, I did my part. I used to say that. I don't say that no more. I'm getting involved. Whether anybody wants me involved or not, I'm getting involved. You need to get involved. We all need to be part of this. We can't let this go the other direction in 2 years. If it does, we're done.
Yep. These lazy, weak-kneed Republicans, they don't have the urgency and fire that we have underneath of us, right? People say, hey, Carl, you're a little extreme. You're a little seem angry. I'm not angry. I'm passionate, right? I'm passionate about this because I know that if I'm not passionate and I'm not doing something, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody's going to do it for me, right? My grandkids, my children, their future is at stake. So's yours, right? So sitting back and expecting other people to take the fight to them, it's not going to happen, right? You need to push these lazy, weak-kneed Republicans off to the side, tell them to hold your beer, and take charge. That's it.
Carl, you're right. I'm almost 60 years old.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Can you say that again? Because my wife never says this, but you just said it. What'd you say?
You're right.
Oh my God.
I know.
I hope my wife is watching. Hey, hon, somebody said I was right. Sorry.
No,
Doesn't happen very often. So when it happens, I get excited.
I'm almost 60 years old. I'm disabled. This is a fight that I did not want to have to do. I'm not doing this for me, because the changes that will happen usually will happen at the end of my life or beyond. I'm doing this for my children and my grandchildren. I've got a new grandchild that's going to be born in September. I want that child to grow up in a close to a similar world that I grew up in, not this stuff that we're in now. People say, well, if you want to go backwards, you're crazy, you're racist, whatever. There's so many other parts of this country, this culture that we created in this country that has absolutely nothing to do with race. Our country and our culture is so much stronger than just that. That's what people always get stuck on. I had a great childhood. My mom was super poor, grew up with a single mother. But did I think that I had the world against me? I was a victim. Hell no. My mom made me proud, made me say, you get up, you go to work, you will succeed. Those are the only things you need to do. Get out of bed, go to work, you will eventually be successful. I may reach just a certain level of successful because of my brain power, my intelligence only got me so far, whatever, but that's on me. That's not on anybody else. I want my grandchildren just to have that same simple opportunity that I had when I was growing up. That's it. Nothing more.
And that's exactly what the globalists and the commie-crats want to stop, right? They don't want you to be an individual. They don't want you to feel like you can make it on your own, right? Why do you look at the inner city? Look at how they keep people in a perpetual life of welfare, generation after generation after generation. They're smart people, right? They're holding them down, right? Because they've become slaves to their government, right? Just like we are slaves to our government. What do? You wake up every day, you pay your taxes, and you do it. You follow the law. You do what you're told. Right? Meanwhile, it feels like on your treadmill, you're on a treadmill. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much money you make, it just never seems like enough, right?
Right.
Right? Right? Because the more money you make, the more the government takes from you. Think about how much money you spend in taxes. Property taxes, federal, state, school, taxes on gasoline, right? Taxes on purchases, your car, your registration. Your registration's a tax, right? Yeah. Your inspection, admissions. Do you have admissions in Ohio? We have admissions.
They just did away with it about 10 years ago, but we used to have it.
Yeah, that dreaded check engine light.
Actually, it's been a little longer, 10 years ago. But
the dreaded, if you live in a state that you have admissions, the dreaded check engine light, that comes on, your car's not passing admissions. What could it be? I don't know. It could be a O2 sensor. It could be your catalytic converter, right? Who knows what it could be? But your car's not passing inspection, and it's going to cost you a lot of money.
I got an anecdotal story about that, Carl, if you got a minute to listen to it.
I always have a minute to listen to you, brother.
You know I'm a car guy, right?
I do.
So I had a 1982 Chevy S10 that I put a 305 crate motor, brand new motor, 350 turbo transmission in it, dual exhaust, right? So at that time, we had to get emissions checked. So I had dual exhaust on it. So they went to go stick the sniffer into the exhaust. Now, they have two sniffers for dual exhaust, but this raised a red flag to them. So they looked at my car or my truck, and they said, you broke the law. And I said, how do you mean I broke the law? This is not the engine that came in this vehicle. I said, no, it's not. What's that got to do with it? they said, well, you're trying to bypass the emissions law by putting another engine in it. I said, it's a V8. It was a 4-cylinder. What are you talking about? So they sent me a thing from Columbus telling me my rights and what I had to do. I had to destroy the truck is what they was telling me, right? So I said, screw that. So I took it to another emissions test facility the next town over, right? So they do the emissions test. So I asked them, how did it do? Oh, it passed with flying colors. Matter of fact, it's better than it should be. And I said, what do you mean? They said the emissions level of the factory 4-cylinder that come in this truck far exceeds what your levels are pumping out right now. I said, so you telling me a brand new V8 engine puts out less emissions than 1982 4-cylinder did when it was made, when it was new and when an S10? The lady said, yes. I said, oh, ain't that amazing? So I put a better environmentally safe engine in my vehicle, and they tried to tell me I was breaking the damn law.
And by the way, just a little friendly hint to everybody. I'm not endorsing this, but it is something that some people have done. It's called a O2 spacer, and I believe you can find them on Amazon. Right? You can install that, and not quite as much of the exhaust flies past the O2 sensor, and it tends to shut that annoying light off for about $8.
Right, because it takes the tip out of the flow of the exhaust is what it does. And
Yeah.
if they look at it, you still got it in there.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
You can just say it. It's fine.
You know, I'm not saying to do it.
We're amongst friends. It's all right.
I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying the whole thing's a scam, and it's a way for the state to get more money off of you.
If you live in an area that has that, I say do it, because they'll do you no favors. You do.
I'm not saying I've done it or I haven't. I'm just saying it's out there. It could be done.
That's like the big thing right now is, the newer diesels take that DEF fluid. Now they have a system to delete all that and it improves the performance of the diesel engine, but you don't have to buy that extra fluid anymore.
Yeah.
And you can have a better boost in your turbo because that DEF stifles that. Now there's a thing going around where they're trying to make that illegal to do.
Of course. Any way around the scam, they want to make it illegal. They want to be able to rob you of every dime you have. Think about this. Tax season's coming up, right? Think about how the government flips you upside down and shakes you by the leg to get every penny out of your pocket, right? And then people get excited because they're getting a tax refund. No, dummy, it's your own freaking money that the government held on to and is not paying you interest on.
Yeah.
Think about that. Don't get excited over your own money. It's your money. You should have it in your freaking bank account.
I think that if they're going to change one thing in the tax law, this should be it. I know you get like the child tax credit and all that. Yeah. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you get 100% of your money back if you're at a certain income level and you're trying to raise a family or whatever. But those people who get back 3, 5, 6 times the amount that they paid in because of that tax credit, that needs to go away. That's you're now taking other people's tax money that they paid into that should go towards regular programs that we all pay taxes into, instead of giving somebody who doesn't deserve it a bigger tax refund. That's 100%. All I'm saying. They need 100%. To do away with that.
100%.
Get all your money back, but don't take somebody else's money too.
Agree, 100%. All right, I got to cut out, everybody.
I was just going to say, Carl, it's time to...
Tonight, it's going to be later than 7:30. I'm going out, so I'm thinking like 8:30 tonight. Live stream, Saturday night free for all.
It sounds good.
Join me and James, possibly Tyler, if we can get him out of the homosexual club. and I think we're going to have Dave on tonight from the Southern Fried Podcast. He's a blast. All right, everybody.
All right. Hey, and remember, I'm on air tonight also, but tomorrow night, 7 p.m., right here on Rumble and on my Jimmy Pockets YouTube channel is my Sunday night live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Join us. I might be able to talk Carl into coming back for a few minutes of that night. If not, you'll just be me, and that I apologize up front, but it's just gonna be me. So if you want to hear what I got to say, come on back. Give
All
me a
right.
like, give me a follow, share this. It's got to be shared. This message needs to go out to everybody.
Absolutely. God bless everybody. Catch us tonight. Later, James.
Later. All right, guys, this is James. Until next time, I'm out of here.